I'm Rick Crowley, Global Solution Engineering at SIS. Constructor 65 Copilot is what we call the AI operating layer for project cost management. Underneath, it is a workforce of special agents with one Copilot sitting in front. You ask a question in plain language, and it pulls real-time answers straight from Dynamics 365, Finance and Operations, and your Construct 365 PCM data. Specialized agents, one Copilot, every project financial question answered. And here's what matters most for a finance team. This is built entirely on Microsoft technology. It runs inside your own Microsoft environment under the same enterprise data protection terms that already govern your Microsoft 365. The project data stays in your world. It isn't shipped off to some outside system. The intelligence comes from the best models on the market, GPT and Claude, but your data is governed by your Microsoft agreement, not the model makers, and it's never used to train the models. Frontier grade AI running in your environment inside Microsoft compliance boundary. Here's the problem it solves. Today, our commercial teams spend hours assembling the picture, pulling CVR, WIP, forecast, commitments, billing status, and risk together by hand. And because it takes so long, the things that hurt you most, margin fade, cost overruns, commitment exposure, unbilled revenue, get caught too late. Construct 365 Copilot flips that. One natural language interface answering in seconds drawn directly from your live D365 F&O PCM data. How it works is simpler than it looks. You ask in plain language, the Copilot figures out what you need and routes it to the right specialist agent. The agent connects live to your D365 and Construct 365 data through MCP and hands the answer back. There's a specialized agent for each part of the project cost lifecycle, everything from CVR and WIP to commitments, billings, and subcontracts, out to forecasting, risks, and period close. Whatever question you've got on a project, there's a specialist behind it. And this is where it gets real. These are the kind of questions people actually ask. Which projects are in the red? What's my WIP in margin position? Where am I overcommitted? How much unbilled revenue am I carrying? What changed in the forecast? Rather than just tell you it works. Let me show you. Let me jump into the system and ask it live. So here I am. I'm in Construct 365 Copilot. I'm using Copilot Chat as a channel, but we can use things like Teams also. So the first question that I'm going to ask is, what are the projects in a certain legal entity that should have my attention where I am, losing margin? So I'm just going to paste that in. But so what are the projects in legal entity SES that should have my attention that are losing margin? And I'm going to ask that question. Construct 365 Copilot is going to look at, it's going to route it to the agent, sub-agent that was most specialized for that answer. That is our portfolio health agent. Okay, so now as we see, the SES project margin alert report showed me the formulas used, all the active projects, how it got forecasted margin, forecast variance. Here's the portfolio summary, projects losing margin. So not only is it now telling me all these projects, it tells me what ECAC revision are, where they're committed, what the actual costs are. Immediate action required on SCS 001 Blue Moon project. It's losing 10.5%. Forecast variance is 400,000. It's the most critical project. So now it's to tell me there's no revenue budget. That's a problem. There's some other ones on the watch list. We see Clarkson, Boston, and Ring. It shows me the health. So what is my recommendation? Meaning conduct an urgent project review on SCS 001 Blue Moon. It's losing 10.5%. So it says we'd like to prepare an executive deck. Now, what we want you to do now is we're going to dig into that project, of course, with solution intended. So what I'm going to tell us is let's run the WIP for SES in that company. Let's run that WIP report and see what happens here. Now it quickly comes back and asks me, am I in the UK or the US? Because those are different kind of outputs. You know, in the UK, we have our CVR, cost value evaluation. In the US, we have that work in progress. I'm gonna let them know that I'm in the US and we're gonna run it for the US version. All right, now we have our work in progress report for SCS. So we have our job overview first of all, which we know it's fixed price. It hasn't been worked on. This is just old data. We have our original budget, which was 1.7. You see our change orders, committed cost, and total cost incurred, revenue recognition. There's a critical gap. There's no contract value. We did this on purpose to call it out. So that's a critical gap. Someone didn't put the contract value. Well, now what's our computation with formulas? We need to know our ETC, it's telling us how it's calculating that EAC. And our agent has all these formulas, it's just telling you that. Contra value 0 in the system, so we need to get that in there, earned revenue or over under bill. So let's look at our margin fee. So our EAC cost, we can see our budget based on ETC. Gross profit, well, it's 0 because we don't have that contract value. And we can see our billing position. We are billing, we're at 13.3%. We're overbilled, obviously, because we haven't recognized risk. So risk and issue, contract value, get that in. Billing in excess, that's okay. Committed cost overruns, that's not okay. Recommendation, of course, get that in. Now, we can drill into stuff like change order history. We can look an executive deck. And we can do a lot of things. But you can see just in one quick natural language query, show me all the projects, and it brought them all up and it said, hey, we need to look at SCS 001. And then I quickly said, well, hey, let's run the WIP report. It asked me which country, and I got that WIP report. Now just imagine we're digging into billings, we can dig into subcontractors, we can dig into change orders, all sorts of things on this. So that's Construct 365 Copilot. The picture that used to take your team hours, margin, WIP, ECAC, risk, unbilled revenue, answered in seconds in plain language from your live data. And because it's built on the Microsoft stack you already run, it plugs straight into the existing Dynamics 365. There's nothing to rip out, nothing to replace. Frontier AI, your data governed by Microsoft, and it works the way you've already got it. If you like to see it run against your own data, just reach out to SIS. Once again, I'm Rick Crowley, Global Solutions Engineering Team, and we'll be happy to give you a live demo on your data. Thank you.